Hey, it's Mazzy here, and this is a video on Chad Kassem and Analogue Productions. I recently showed a video of my top 10 personal enjoyments, best sounding mobile fidelity records because of this whole situation that's going on now. So I thought equal time, even though they're not the only other company, there seems to be this little bit of a, is it a friendly competition or a yin-yang thing with Analogue Productions? And yesterday, my friend Michael, 45 in Dusseldorf, had a lovely hour-and-a-half conversation with Chad Kassem. I think in a way it was sort of billed as a response video to what's happening, but it wasn't really that. And maybe people thought it would be that, and it was something completely different, but that's okay. Chad Kassem got on, and I was going to call, I didn't know what to call this video. Should it be the Vinyl Wars? Does it have to be a competition? Do we have to have a war? I think not. But there is the thing about transparency. And Chad Kassem came on, and I was thinking maybe I should do a video, the Chad Kassem story. I don't need to tell his life story. I don't know his life story. I believe he was born in Louisiana. So, and he found records. Rest is history. Started Analogue Productions, Acoustic Sounds actually, and started selling mobile fidelity records, the early days of MoFi. And he showed his full catalog there. Now, then I thought I was going to say, call this video a love story to Chad Kassem. I don't love Chad Kassem, but I do appreciate his directness, his honesty, and his love for music. That definitely stands out. And that's something that I love the most about him and how he runs his company. Now, having said that, that video with Michael Fremer really turned into an hour-and-a-half infomercial leading up to the debut of this big reveal he was going to do. Are they going to press Led Zeppelin, or is it the Beatles? Is it Pink Floyd? Is it Steely Dan? Is it Lothar and the Hen People? What is he putting out? Is it the history of blues and Julie London records? What is he going to put out? Since he's 60 years old, going to turn 60, and his company is really booked up now for the next 10 years in terms of what he's going to put out. And I think that's exciting, actually. But it turned out to be a kind of a lead-up promotion to a 30-minute infomercial promo video, which was done amazingly. Coincidentally, it came out at this perfect time. Coincidence or not, right when MoFi is going through this whole debacle, self-inflicted because they weren't transparent. All the power to Chad and Acoustic Sounds and Analogue Productions that they are, what, 98%, maybe more, all analog. They go for the tape. They let you know what's going on. And, you know, he did showcase a couple albums. He mentioned this album, and this is The Best of Sam Cooke. This is one of the few records in their catalog, a best of comp that is from DSD. It's digital compiled, and it's really hard to do a best of, but he talked about that a little bit. So all the power to him. I kind of think when I bought this, my sticker, I think they changed since, but my sticker did not say there's a DSD step when this came out. But I think Chad has learned, because of what's going on with mobile fidelity and the whole audiophile thirst for transparency there. But I really liked, I like what Analogue Productions does. So what I'm going to show here are some amongst my very favorite Analogue Productions record, a personal list, a great sounding. I do have a lot of jazz of the Verve series. I'm not really showing those. I'm not showing any of the lines he's doing of those, but I'm going to show what I like. Now, this is another one, the Cowboy Junkies Trinity Sessions, which I have on CD I've had. And this is another one that is from DSD Digital sourced, because I think it was a digital recording, in fact. And he specified that. Again, I don't remember when this came out several years ago, if they acknowledge that. But to Chad's credit, he's changing and updating stickers whenever there is a digital step and being very transparent. Again, he always was, and they do this wonderful thing. So it is unfortunate that it has to be this, the MoFi versus Analogue Productions. But since they're two very prominent companies that have been alluding to all analog reissues. I get it. So I want to do this. Now, Chad and I have never met. I've never met Chad. The only little shout out I got from Chad once was in one of his live presentations about this. I only have two UHQRs. I have the Miles Davis and I have the Jimi Hendrix. And I think when I did the Jimi Hendrix, I went on this rant, which I usually beat a dead horse like some of you out there, about, I think, the biggest thing with UHQRs and the one step that MoFi is I hate these boxes. I know he loves it because in the 50s he fell in love with this classical recording that, that has this kind of box. That's 1950s. It doesn't really, to me, work for this. And why does one box with one record need a box, right? I don't think that's necessary. And he knows it. I wish, and I asked this question yesterday, never got up to ask him. And I'm not the only one, believe me. And they did a poll. More people would like an option for not to have the box. So as much as I don't like these boxes for one record, I friggin' love these boxes. Chad, his company, invented and designed and worked with someone to design this amazing shipping box you can see in his promo video. And I'll put a link below to that, as well as the Michael 45 interview. Records don't get damaged unless the company, the shipping companies screw up. What an amazing wing box. I mean, this is the best invention in wings since, what, the wing Tampex or something? This is, oh, I just showed my address. Whatever. Send me shit. Thanks, Chad. This is great. So get rid of that box. Or wait, okay, don't get rid of it. People like those boxes. But a lot of people would like an option. So cut the 35, 40 bucks and give an option. See how that plays out. But I love the record inside that, his version of that super vinyl thing. Now, in terms of boxes, he mentioned on that stream, and I am fortunate enough to have the big Bill Evans 45 RPM, all analog, one of the greatest piano players, my favorite jazz piano player. I saw him 2 or 3 times in the 70s. I was very fortunate to see Bill Evans at the Keystone and at Bach Dynamite Society down near Half Moon Bay and on the south of San Francisco. My friend Dave had this box sealed in his house, and he bought it, and he wasn't really into jazz, and he forgot about it. And his place is a mess. I love Dave, but his record organization is not like mine. And I said, oh my God, when did you get that? He goes, oh yeah, I bought it like 4 years ago, whatever it was. And I never opened it. So we ended up working a trade, so I got it. Now, Chad did mention this is being repressed. Am I a shill for Analog Productions? I don't think so, but end of August, he mentioned on that live stream, this is finally being repressed. There's only 3,000 they're pressing, and they got so many pre-orders, there's not many left. So if you want it, it's 900 bucks now instead of the old 600. But I get it. It's a different time, different thing, and it's complicated to press all these things and all the collating and the covers. And they're not tipped on, but they're printed, but they're nice. 2 records fit in one sleeve. They're not gatefolds, but highly recommended. I like this box. The other boxes, which I think is amazing, is this Creedence Clearwater out of print. I think they did 2 or 3 pressings of this. The entire Creedence catalog analog. I love that too. And lastly, the other box, which is one of the best sounding record sets in my collection, is the Bach Starker 45 RPM. Incredible sounding record. These come in print and press every once in a while. They don't go out, but, pre-order it. Again, I'm not a shill for Chad, but I love you, Chad. I like what you do, and I love your passion. It's all about the passion. Next year, it'll be 50 years since I first got into the record business, worked in a record store. I only lasted 10 years out of those 50 years. After that, I went into, became a photo agent and licensed photography and represented commercial artists. And so I get what you've done with your company. I get about marketing, about promotion. But what's great about it, you do have the quality behind it that matches. So those are the boxes that I love, the boxes with multi-records. I don't like the boxes with one record where it's a waste and all you're sticking in is promo material as well. I don't think you need that. But I beat a dead horse, and I've gotten ridiculed for that, but so be it. Okay, let's go on now. We mentioned that best of. These are my favorite records. I think there's 15, 18 of them. I'll go by real quickly. One of the greatest voices ever in soul music, the man who created soul, the voice of soul. What's the term? Mr. Soul, Sam Cooke. What an amazing voice, and Nightbeat is an amazing sounding all analog record. Muddy Water Folk Singer. I have heard the MoFi edition, and I like MoFi still. The 10 I showed in that video, I really like. I don't have this mobile fidelity. This is the double 45. This is an amazing sounding recording, and he's, again, one of those, the cliches right in the room for you. There's a 33 version that Analogue Productions puts out, but this is so good. It's that kind of country folky blues thing when they were trying to get on the folk wave of the early 60s that was happening in Greenwich Village and the like. And this should be in every collection, so I highly recommend that. My favorite jazz piano player, aside from Bill Evans, a different thing, who's a jazz vocalist who straddles into the pop realm, and of course that's Nat Cole. I love Nat Cole. I'm all in on Nat Cole. I do have the big 27 LP Capitol recordings of Nat King Cole Trio that Mosaic put out. That is every take from the Capitol years. That is just stunning. But this is something that just, I think it just came back in print, and After Midnight, one of the best sounding records in my collection as well, of the Nat Cole Trio. You must have this. His soothing voice, his piano playing, Sweet Lorraine, Caravan, Route 66, Get Your Kicks on Route 66. A fantastic record. 2 records in a single sleeve. You know, it doesn't have the Stoughton, but I mean, it's not tipped on. It's a beautiful cover, but it's not about the cover in this one particularly. It's a little out of focus. I mean, kind of an old shot Technicolor. Looks like a frame, a little grainy, but so what? This sounds amazing. This is one of my records in this whole room of 7,000 records. This is one of my favorite records, and I had an original copy of this. I did have a copy that from the Coleman collection I gave to someone because she really wanted it, so I just reordered this myself for my collection. Now, I got in on all sultry, sexual analog productions. There's a lot of sex in this music. I think Chad is missing an opportunity to sell sex too, but come on. Latin in Satin Mood by Julie London. You think, how can she have this amazing voice? But her voice is so beautiful. What's great about it is it's not overproduced. Her musicians, it's low key, produced by Snuff Garrett, who would later even work on some great Tom Waits records in the 70s. This is an amazing, beautiful record. A great cocktail lounge record. Sticking with vocals and piano and jazz. You know, what's great about, there's a theme here. The records that do sound the best, and I have some rock and roll records here, but the ones that recorded that don't have the big overproduction and, you know, big rock and roll sound is the simple recordings. And of course, Nina Simone's debut. Jazz is played in an exclusive side street club. Nina Simone, Little Girl Blues, a record that everybody needs, who I think this is an important record as well as a beautiful record. Of course, in the video yesterday with Michael, 45, he talked about this. They did have the tapes. They were not destroyed in the Universal fire, in any of the fires. This is the real deal. The Chirping Crickets, as well as this Buddy Holly record, sound really good. And again, this is, to me, one of the most important records in early rock and roll history. So good, so wonderful. You know, a lot of songs, you know, Peggy Sue, I'm Gonna Love You Too, Ready Teddy, Every Day, Rave On, Words of Love. People in my generation, I'm older than you, Chad. I'm 8 years older than you. People in my generation got turned on to Buddy Holly, if they didn't know him really, because of the Beatles covering Words of Love. And that whole vocal harmony and arrangements of Buddy Holly and obviously the Everly Brothers. Have you guys done Everly Brothers? That would be good. Some all analog Everly Brothers. I can't recall you doing any. That's a necessity. I know you're booked up for 10 years, but let's get some Everly Brothers. And I keep saying, okay, this is going to be a repetitive thing, and I feel like I'm doing this heavy promotion for Analog Productions, but in a way, as Chad pointed out, the records really do sell themselves. They're really good. Now, this record, he says it's going back on press. Again, one of the all-time favorite records and a great sounding record. The original Warner Brothers record produced by Milton Okun sounds fabulous. So an original, is it the gold or silver Warner Brothers label? I can't remember exactly. Sounds so good. But a lot of those records are chewed up. This record is really good. Acoustic sound, great three-part harmony. One of the great folk pop records with Puff the Magic Dragon. For a little trivia, the reason they call it Album 1700, and they're wearing these 1920 outfits, that really doesn't really jive, does it? You think, oh, the 1700, they should be in, 1700 wear, but they're in 1920s wear. It's because this came out, this is the number, when Warner Brothers hit Warner Brothers album 1700, that was the catalog number, the original catalog number. But this sounds so good. Puff the Magic Dragon, of course. Rollin' Home, Leaving on a Jet Plane. Great Mandela is one of the great folk songs of all time as far as I'm concerned. Bob Dylan's Dream, but really good. So I would, if you like good harmonies and good sound, again, to me, is always the music first. I'm not all totally analog in. It doesn't have to be that. It depends on the record. That's why I said those Mo-Fi records that I liked a month ago, I still like those today. So that's it. I don't need a one-step or UHQR personally. I bought two. I don't think I need to get those unless that's the only option. That's why I wish there was a no-box option. Now, these, I think, are still available. These Doors 45 RPMs, and I know Chad mentioned that they really did get the analog tapes, except they got a dub copy of the first album. A lot of people think this is the best one, best sounding LA Woman, but it's not always about the sound. It should be about the music. This is my favorite of these. Of course, I like the second Doors album, probably the best, but I like the sound of Waiting for the Sun. Carry Me, Caravan, Take Me Away, Hello, I Love You. Summer's Almost Gone. What a great record. And of course, the jazzy stylings of Riders on the Storm and LA Woman just make this probably a better recorded record than this. But I'm going with both of these in this video, this little showcase video. One of the best things, I remember being, I don't go to high-end audio shops a lot. I bought some gear here and there. But I was in one, and I heard, and I've had this CD from when it came out. I heard this record. Is this all analog? I don't know about the time. I guess it is. This is her covers album, one of her covers album, Ricky Lee Jones. And of course, I remember when I worked in record stores, Chucky's in Love, her first album came out, which was a fantastic surprise hit. And she really got known for that. This album is so good. The recording is so good. But I heard Showbiz Kids, her cover of that Steely Dan song. And it's really, really a great sounding record. Ricky Lee Jones. And this is called It's Like This. She also covers For No One, the Beatles song, Low Spark of High Heel Boys by Traffic, and Up Lazy River, a few other songs. Trouble Man, really good record, great sounding record. I don't know if these are in print. I'm just showing my favorites, so in terms of availability, I have no idea. But again, Chad, okay, here's something I will say. Let's have a little mid-level, mid-section break here. Chad is all set for some big reveals this year. Is it Led Zeppelin? Is it Beatles? Is it Steely Dan? Who is it? Are the big things he's going to do, these boomer classic rock records? This is something that Mo-Fi does better. They put out Beck, Sea Change. They put out Weezer, who I hate, but they put out Weezer records. Chad hasn't got into newer artists. Beck needs to be out. Bowie wouldn't be considered new, but, they don't do Bowie. They don't do REM. They don't do... there's so many great new artists that deserve all analog recordings. And, his label, his taste, I get it. Mo-Fi does those better. Not totally great. We're hearing the same old records come Around and Round. This is a record I know that Chad personally loves, and it is really good. I had another original Warner Brothers version of this. I still have it, but I'd say this one definitely bests it. And this is Black and White, Tony Joe White, swampy, bluesy rock. So good. And I can tell this is right up Chad's alley. I mean, come on, Chad. Let's have a lunch together sometime. I want to put a newspaper down on the table, dump a bucket of, you know, crawfish and shrimp down, you know, have some like shots and talk about music. Just talk about music. I don't care about talking about pressings. I get what you do. I want to talk about the music. It's the music. So if we ever have the chance someday, I don't know if I'm going to make it to Salina, Kansas, but I'm in Seattle here. But if we ever have a meeting point, I would love to meet you and just, you know, have some, you know, share that. That's the best time. Eating, drinking, and talking music, right? You know that. Now, I love that Analogue Productions has done a great series, a great Beach Boys series. He said that they couldn't get the stereo, I believe, master tapes of Pet Sounds. But I tell you, depending on the mood I'm in, the mono and the stereo of Surfer Girl. Again, out of the pop records, one of the best sounding records in my collection. When I listen to In My Room and Surfer Girl, my heart melts. The harmonies, the music. And I have a nice stereo. I'm not like Chad's stereo or In-Groove stereo or Michael 45's rig. I would have what audiophiles would consider modest, very modest. But it's not, it's above the average thing. But still, these two records, this is what I put on when I want to turn someone on to music or to hearing records. I have a lot of people that once in a while come over, we have record nights, because a lot of people I know aren't into vinyl. And they come in here, and I let them choose. I let them do these random picks, like our whack-a-moles on my channel, where I pick I would love Chad to come over and do a whack-a-mole. If you're ever in Seattle, or going to be in Seattle, come in and let's do a whack-a-mole and talk records. Same with you, Michael Fremer and Michael Esposito and Michael 45 and too many, Michael Poetry and Plastic, all the Michaels. I want to do this. This is a fantastic time in vinyl. So, now this is one that doesn't get a lot of shout outs, and I don't know if it's, I don't think it's in print. This is going back a ways, 2012. Well, that's only 10 years, but Illinois Jaquette. Swings the thing. Now, I would pick this record as one of my all-time favorite albums in the Analogue Production reissue series, just because of the version here of Harlem Nocturne. What an amazing piece of music, jazz piece. Noir, late night cocktail, 2 in the morning, having drinks, getting messed up a little bit, get a little buzz on, and playing that. This is my favorite version of that. I have like Lounge Lizards doing that. I have God, I'm blanking out who wrote that song. It's one of the biggies. But anyway, it is a great record. This should be in print. If it's not in print, seek this out. It might still be just lounging around there at their website, but highly recommended. I know this one is a favorite of Chad's, and it is one of mine. One of the great, this is Going Away, Lightning Hopkins. Of course, when you have just a guitar and your vocals and playing music, you can't get much simpler than that. But simple doesn't mean it can't be sublime. And this is a sublime, beautifully recorded, wonderful blues record. Lightning Hopkins, Bluesville. I think this is still around. But again, you know, Chad, you do some great stuff. I'm talking to you, Chad. If you watch this thing, so I do appreciate that. Again, this is not a kiss-ass video to you, but I just wanted to say that. Now, lastly, I think this is the end. This is enough. There's so many other records in my collection. The Prestige series, the Riverside, you know, there's countless others I could show, but I want to limit it. Those of you who watch my channel know Cooter is my favorite guitar player. And A Meeting by the River, Cooter and VM Bhatt. And it's very Indian, Pakistani. It's a gorgeous acoustic guitar and what do you call it? What's his instrument? Okay, 45 RPM. Again, this is an Analogue Productions release, double 45. Really good, and this is an unusual record for someone who is into more of the world music vein. Highly recommend this one. So there we go. That's the end of my little take and just a little homage to Chad and Analogue Productions. He's got his little big, huge empire in Salina, Kansas. And he is one of, again, a handful of people. I mentioned Michael Fremer and others who really champion vinyl when not too many people. And in terms of the MoFi versus, it doesn't have to be a competition. We just want to know. I know Chad said he's open to spar code. He didn't step it back, but I think, you know, he has the opportunity to be the first one to really start doing it, and it'll embarrass the other people into doing it. And again, MoFi needs to come out and have their people. You know, I tell you, this video that Chad did, you should watch it. It's really good to see the people who work at Mobile Fidelity. Ooh, that was a Freudian slip. The people who work at Analogue Productions and Acoustic Sounds and all the different departments. And it was really nice seeing it. And this is something that, unfortunately, Mobile Fidelity hasn't been transparent. And no one's really been out there. You know, you get those guys like, look like they're tight-assed as whatever, trying to defend themselves for their digital step, which is not a problem. They decided that's what they want to do. But they were kind of thrown under the bus by maybe Music Direct, or they needed other people to come out and talk about their companies more. And I tell you, as I said at the very beginning of this video, that infomercial Chad did with Michael 45 was perfectly timed. And I thought it led into that promo video. They've been working on that for, what, 6 months? I know what productions cost because I work with photographers and videographers, and that ain't cheap to do it right. And he did it right, and I applaud that. And that's a good thing for every company to do. Yes, it's an infomercial, but he's promoting himself. So anyway, thanks for watching. Any comments put below? Any other of these records you like? Again, it's about the music. So as much as this whole political transparency business bullshit has come about in the last month or so, it comes down to these records. And those are records that, you know, I think are great. I probably have 100 different Analogue Productions releases, maybe more, 150, with all the later issues. And they're really good sounding with very, very few exceptions. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you next time. Mazzy loves you. Dump the boxes.